Welcome back to the Mind Your Self Defense YouTube channel. I'm your host Andrew, and today we're going to talk about how to choose the right firearm for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys some tips on what to look for when it comes to choosing the right firearm for you. It doesn't really matter if it's pistol, shotgun, rifle. You should use these tips for any kind of those firearms to make sure that it's the right fit for you. Like clothing or cars, there's thousands of variations. Same thing goes for firearms. So the biggest tip I could give you guys for firearms is that it has to be comfortable for you. That means it has to be comfortable in your hands. It has to be comfortable against your shoulder if it's a rifle or a shotgun. If it's a handgun, it has to fit your hand good. It can't be too heavy. It can't be too light. It just has to fit. And there's a couple reasons for this. It's because one, if it doesn't fit right, because the grip might be too big, or the grip might be too small, and you're not comfortable with it, chances are you're not going to train with it because it doesn't feel right. So that means that you're not going to put in the trigger time that you need to get efficient with it. Same thing goes with the rifle or a shotgun. If it's too long for you, if it's too heavy for you, if it doesn't fit right, you're not going to want to train to get good at that with that particular firearm. Same thing goes with if you're wearing a shirt and it's too tight. Chances are you're not going to wear that shirt very often because it doesn't make you feel good. Same goes if you're wearing a shirt that's 3 times too big. You're not going to wear that shirt because it doesn't feel comfortable on you. Same thing goes with the firearm. So with that being said, the first thing you want to do is hold the firearm in your hand. If you go to a gun store and you're looking to purchase a firearm, most gun stores have no problem with you holding the firearm and getting a feel for it. I highly recommend that you pick up the firearm, you hold it, see how the ergonomics are. That's how it feels in your hand. If the grip is too wide for you, it's probably not going to feel comfortable. If you have small hands, if you have big hands, a narrow grip is not going to feel very comfortable for you. So you want to make sure that it's comfortable. A lot of firearms now have what are called removable back straps. So the back strap is the part of the gun on the back of the grip that your palm actually sits against. Okay? And some manufacturers have made different sizes so you could change the grip width. So you could just pop them out. If the one's too small for you, you could put in a bigger one, make the grip bigger, wider. If it's not big enough, then they have a big one. Normally they have 2 or 3 options. Not all manufacturers offer that, but there are a lot of guns that offer that. So they're called removable back straps. You could change, so you could either make the grip wider or more narrow depending on your hand size. So that's a good option to look for if grip is really a big issue for you. I got big hands, so I prefer a wider grip. I have shot and I do own guns that have narrow grips, but I'm used to it, so I've learned how to compensate using those firearms so they don't bug me. But that's because I have a lot of trigger time. If you are new and this is you choosing your first firearm, then I really can't emphasize enough to make sure that you are comfortable with that firearm, because it will affect your training, because you're not going to want to train that much because it doesn't feel comfortable, and it will affect your shooting. You will have a hard time putting shots on target because you're not comfortable. Okay, again, it's like wearing that really tight shirt and say trying to play basketball. It's going to restrict your motion because you feel so uncomfortable in that thing. It's going to affect you psychologically, and it might affect you physically. Same thing goes with the firearm. So make sure it's comfortable. That's the number one tip, is make sure it is comfortable. That is why there's so many different variations of firearms out there, because all of us are different. We all have different physical attributes. Or hands are big, hands are small, hands are thin, whatever you want to say. There's just a lot of different options out there. So the firearm industry has tried to address most of those issues by offering a lot of variety of firearms so you can choose. Well, the first thing is make sure it's comfortable. It's not too heavy, it's not too light, and it fits good in your hand. That's number one. Number two is choosing the right caliber. So the caliber is the size of the bullet that's going to come out of the firearm. You could get it as small as a 22, or you could get it as big as a 44 mag. Choice is up to you. Does caliber matter? Yes and no. It all depends on what you're using the gun for. That's tip number 3, is what am I buying this firearm for? And we'll go back to 2 after this. What am I buying it for? Am I buying it for target practice? Am I buying it for self-defense? Am I buying it to go after a bear? You have to understand what's the main purpose of the firearm. If you're buying a 22, it's great for target practice. It's not the best choice for self-defense or concealed carry. And it sure is hell not the best one if you're going after a bear. So you do have to understand, what's the main purpose of this firearm? On standard, most people go with a 9mm. That's the most commonly sold caliber in the United States, if not the whole world. I'm not sure about the whole world thing, but I'm pretty sure it's up there as far as calibers go. Reason being is because it checks a lot of boxes. It is good for self-defense. It is good for competition shooting. And it's not too good for bears, I ain't gonna lie. And it's very common. You can find the ammo almost anywhere. In the United States, you could find it anywhere. I don't know too much about finding the 9mm overseas, but I'm pretty sure you can, because it's super common. And like I said, it's probably the most sold caliber of firearm in the world. All right, I know for the United States, I know for sure, but I'm pretty sure in the world you could get 9mm anywhere. Now, the reason why 9mm is so popular is because it has good stopping power and the recoil is not too bad. So understand, the bigger the bullet, the more recoil the firearm is going to have. If you have a 22, which is the smallest pistol you can get right now, it's going to be on the lighter side because the ammunition's lighter. That's one of the reasons why it's not a very effective self-defense weapon. I'm not saying you can't use it. A lot of people have been killed by 22s, but it could be easily defeated too. So if you have a 22 and I'm wearing a denim jacket or a leather jacket, you have to be pretty close to shoot me and go through my jacket to where it's going to cause me bodily harm. Now, if I'm wearing a shirt or a tank top, something like that, again, that's a different story. But 22s can be defeated, where a 9mm, it's a little harder to, it will go through a jacket. And then as you start getting higher up, 38s or 357 mags or 40s, 45s, all that stuff is definitely going through jackets and stuff like that. But you're also getting bigger caliber bullets, so the firearms are going to be a little heavier to compensate for the more power that the firearm has. Also, the bigger the caliber, the slower the bullet. A 9 millimeter, now this is going off the top of my head, travels at about 1200, 1300 feet per second, where a 45 is closer to like the 800 feet per second range, just because of the bullet size is smaller. So understand, what's the purpose of the firearm? Am I getting for plinking? Like I said, if it is, a 22 is fine for plinking, something that's more like an all-purpose, where I could go plinking, and I could use it for self-defense, and I could use it for competition shooting, whatever. 9 millimeter is probably the way to go if you can handle the recoil. There's not much recoil on a 9 millimeter. For most women, I would recommend a 380. 380, not a 38. There is a big difference. A 38 is bigger than a 380. So a 380 with 380 is smaller than a 9 millimeter, but bigger than a 22. It actually uses the same bullet as a 9 millimeter. The only difference is that the casing, the cartridge, the cartridge is the whole thing put together. This is what you put in the magazine to shoot, okay? The bullet is the projectile, the part that leaves the firearm and enters your target. The casing is the part that shoots out of your firearm. But put together with the bullet connected to the casing, it's called a cartridge or a round. The casing is a little bit shorter on a Super 380, or 380 is the same than the Super 380, okay? So don't get confused. They're not two different calibers. They're the same. Some people call it Super 380. Some people call them 380s. It's the same thing. So the casing is a little bit shorter on a 380 than it is on a 9 millimeter. So there's less powder behind the 380 than there is on the 9 millimeter. The 380 doesn't travel as fast as the 9 millimeter does, but it does have the same stopping power. It just doesn't have the distance that a 9 millimeter would have, because it's not traveling as fast. That's the recommended caliber for women, because it gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you the stopping power without the recoil. Don't get me wrong, 9 millimeters do not have that much more recoil than the 380. But there are people who are very sensitive to recoil. And for my 30 something years of experience, I've noticed that most women are very recoil sensitive. So it's a good compromise in a positive way for women to go with the 380. A 380 is a very common concealed carry caliber for men and women, because it is compact and you could wear it comfortably, and it has the stopping power that you need if you need it. There are a lot of variants, and a lot of manufacturers make 380s. My wife owns a 380. I got it for her for that reason. She is not super recoil sensitive. She has shot the 9s and stuff like that, but she's a lot more comfortable with the 380. So she's very competent with it too. I could tell her we're going to the range, she'll get it out of the box, she'll load it, she'll clean it, she'll do everything herself. She doesn't need me to help her with it, because she knows it and she's familiar with it and she's comfortable with it. That's the thing, is you have to be comfortable with it. It doesn't matter what caliber you get, just make sure that you're comfortable with it. How do you get comfortable with the firearm if you don't own a firearm? If you go to shooting classes, there are some instructors like me who bring various size firearms so you could shoot all the different calibers. Not every single caliber, but the majority of the most popular size calibers out there. so you could get a feel for the kind of gun that you would like to purchase. You could also go to a gun range that rents firearms, and you could rent different calibers. And yes, a lot of ranges rent 380s. If you want to, you could rent a 380 and then a 9mm, and then if you want to go bigger than that, you can, and you could see the difference between a 380 and a 9mm and make a educated decision. A firearm is an investment because you're going to have these for the rest of your life if you don't sell them. So it's a heirloom. You could pass them down from generation after generation after generation after generation. There's still firearms being passed down from World War II, World War I, and they're still in good shooting condition. So as long as you take care of the firearm and you don't sell it, it's going to last lifetimes. Like all the firearms that I own, when I'm gone, they're going to my daughters, and God willing, they're going to their kids, and then their kids' kids, and their kids' kids. And the thing is that most of the firearms that I own now are probably going to be way outdated when my grandkids that I don't have start, becoming old enough to shoot. They're going to gain value because the manufacturers are probably not going to make those anymore. And I have some firearms that aren't made anymore now. So, it is an investment. Doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money to buy a firearm. You could get firearms ranging between $150 to a couple $1,000 depending on what kind of firearm you want. And I'm talking pistols. Rifles are the same thing, but those rifles are going to end up costing you maybe $5,000-$10,000 depending on what you want. But you could get cheapy rifles for $150, something like that. So again, that's the next tip, is budget. A Super 380 or 380, you could get a known reputable manufacturer firearm, a 380, no joke, for about $250. Okay? Glock makes a 380. They're not legal in California, I'm just letting you know that. Ruger makes a 380. There are a couple of legal 380s in California from Ruger, but the newer ones are not. Bersa makes a Firestorm, which is legal in California, and in the rest of the states, the same exact gun is called the Thunderstorm. Yeah, don't even get me started on that. And that firearm in the state of California, you could get it on sale. I've seen them for as cheap as $250. And when they're not on sale, they're about $325. And that's a great firearm. I own one. That's actually my wife's pistol. And it's a great pistol. I love it. I put a laser on that for her. She loves it. My daughters love it because it's not heavy recoil. All right? Again, it has to be comfortable for you. So make sure it fits in your hand and it's comfortable in your hand. Make sure that the recoil is okay with you. You want to have a caliber that is fitting for you, and you want to make sure it's not too heavy, not too light, because remember, the heavier the firearm, the more recoil it eats up for you, the more energy it absorbs for you. The lighter the firearm, the more your body's going to have to absorb. So a good compromise is finding a caliber that you're okay with shooting. And I don't mean just squeezing the trigger once, all right? Because I can give you a 45, which is heavy, and you can squeeze the trigger once and you're going to be okay because you don't have to repeat the motion over and over and over. Shooting, to get good at it, you have to repeat the motion over and over and over. So that's why you want to find a firearm that is comfortable for you, all right? So make sure it's comfortable. That's number one. Number two, make sure you have the right size caliber for you and that you can manage the recoil. Number 3 is understand the purpose of the firearm. Am I using it for target practice, or am I using it for hunting, or am I using it for self-defense? And then number 4 is budget. How much are you willing to spend? Don't spend $1,000 on a firearm if it is not comfortable in your hand, when you could have bought a firearm for $300 that was way more comfortable. Make sure it's comfortable before you spend the money. That's my opinion, and I'll live and die by that one. If it doesn't fit in your hand and you are not comfortable with it, you are not going to train with it. So make sure that you are 100% comfortable with it before you spend the money. You could go to firearm ranges and you could rent a lot of different firearms and really get a feel for that, or you could go to classes where the instructors provide firearms for you. A lot of instructors do have 9mm that they include in the class for you to shoot. Others have different calibers so you could try out. If you're not sure if they have that when you enroll or when you're getting ready to enroll in the class, you can call the company and the instructor and ask them, what kind of firearm are you providing to shoot? And they'll tell you either 9mm or variable calibers like I do. So that's totally up to the instructors. There are some instructors that don't provide firearms at all, so you have to bring your own firearm. Just make inquiries when you're on, but your safest bet to get trigger time is probably going to a shooting range and renting a pistol for you to figure out if it's comfortable or not. You'll know real quick, even without shooting. If you go to a gun store just to pick it up and hold it, then that's going to tell you a lot. If you pick up a firearm at a gun store and it feels too heavy for you, chances are when you shoot that gun, it's not going to feel comfortable for you. If you go to, I would do it this way. Go to a gun store because they're going to have a lot more variety. Pick up the firearm that I'm interested in. If it's too heavy, then I'm going to pick up something else. Try it out. Just keep, you got to be like Cinderella. You have to keep going through all of them until that slipper fits. And once that slipper fits, then you mark down the information from that firearm, even take a picture of it, and then you go to the gun range and ask them, do you have this firearm for rent? And if they do, then you go to the range, rent that firearm. You'll know pretty quick. I'll say 20 to 30 rounds. You'll know quick if it's comfortable for you. It doesn't matter if you're hitting your target. It's just, how does it feel in my hand? Is the recoil too much? If the recoil is okay and it feels comfortable in your hand, then you could make an educated purchase, buy that firearm, and then train with it, and that's when you could focus about getting shots on target. Right now you just want to make sure it's comfortable in your hand. I do this in all my classes. So when you enroll in one of my classes, my handgun fundamental classes, you're doing everything in a one-stop shop. I'm teaching you about the firearms, everything. I'm teaching you how to stand, how to shoot, how to do everything. And you shoot various calibers. And then when it's time to go live fire on your own, you get to choose whatever calibers that you shot earlier, shoot the rest of the day. Like, you will shoot a 22 in my class, you will shoot a 380, you will shoot a 9mm, you will shoot a 10mm, and you will shoot a 45. So you get to go through the pecking order, and everybody shoots all of them, just so you could get the feel and you could see the difference in recoil. After you've shot all of the different calibers, I tell you, okay, now you could choose which one do you want to shoot for the remainder of the day. You could split it. Normally what students do is they'll say, all right, I'm gonna do 50 on the 22 or the 380 or the 380 and the 9mm. You can mix and match your 50. So as long as it equals 100, you could shoot it and decide which one are you most comfortable with. This way, when you go to the store, you already know, I like this caliber. It doesn't matter if it's the same exact manufacturer that you shot with me. I'm okay with the 380. I'm okay with the 9mm. Now you just put it on, put that glass slipper on, and see if it fits. If it fits, then, like I said, you can make an educated purchase. If it doesn't fit, well, I know that the 9mm is in the ballpark of what I want, so now I need to find another glass slipper in that size. Okay, does that make sense? Or it could be the 380. That slipper fit better, so at least I know, okay, now I've solved one of the answers for myself. Which caliber do I want? I do have a lot of students that go out and buy the same exact gun that my wife uses, because that's the one they use in the class, because it is the right size for them, caliber wise, and it's comfortable for them. And not to mention, it's only $300. Sometimes I've seen, like I said, I've seen them on sale for $250, and they buy it and they're happy with it, and guess what? They train with it. They become efficient with it. So now they feel the same confidence that my wife has with it. They have that now. Because my students, they come and shoot with me whenever I have a class. Even if they've taken the class before, they could come and just shoot. They don't have to take the class. They just come and shoot. And they bring their firearms, and hey, I could tell the ones who are practicing and the ones who aren't. I started going down a rabbit hole, ranting a little bit, but it's important. The number one thing of choosing a firearm is make sure that it is comfortable in your hand. Sights, single action, double action, all that kind of stuff doesn't matter if it's not comfortable in your hand. Okay, and this goes for rifles and shotguns. It has to be comfortable. If not, you're not going to use it. I want to thank you. If you guys like this content, please like and subscribe. And remember, only you can unleash your inner badass.